So, under ng attributes, we have entities represented by means of their properties called attributes. An example natin ng attributes, we have the class, the name, or the age, no? If we have the student database. So, under ng attributes, we have what we call the domain, no? So, katulad nito, this is the class domain and this is the age domain, no? So, yung age, yung sinabing age domain, hindi pwedeng mapahalo dyan yung address or yung first name ng student, no? Lahat lang yan ay age. So, yung limit ng isang domain, they are called constraints. Okay? Yan. So, we have the following type of attributes. We have simple, composite, and deprived attributes. No? Pag sinabing simple, these are atomic values. Ibig sabihin, hindi na pwedeng hatiin or i-divide pa sa dalawang set. No? For example, yung first name mo, hindi na pwedeng i-divide yun sa dalawa, no? Or yung age. Okay? Those are example of simple attribute. Pag sinabing composite attribute, we can divide it further, no? For example, yung address, no? Or student name, we can divide it between first name and last name. Sa address, we can divide it by the number of streets, the name of the streets, and also the city, no? Pag sinabing deprived attributes, the attributes do not exist in the physical database, but their values are derived from other attributes present in the database, no? For example, the salaries of different departments, no? Included in the table. So we have also single value attributes, yung mga domain or yung mga attribute na may isa lang value, for example, age or social security number, no? We have also multi-value attributes which contain more than one values. Okay? So for example, a person can have two phone numbers, one or more, or also email addresses. Next, we have the relationship set, and descriptive attributes. Okay? So, pag sinabing relationship, these are the associations of each entities or table, no? So, yung relationship ni student sa kanyang courses or sa department, no? Yan. Those are called relationship. Relationship set is a set of relations of similar type is called. So, kung pareho sila ng data type or tables, no? Then, they are called relationship set. Okay? Ibig sabihin yung relationship type nila, no? Like entities, a relationship too can have attributes. These attributes are called descriptive attributes. Degree of relationship, the number of participating entities in a relationship defines the degree of relationship. So, kung tatlong table, ang degree nila is 3, no? That is called the degree of relationships. We have the following type of relationship. 1-to-1, ibig sabihin ng 1-to-1, ito ang symbol. Okay? So, one record from table 1 and one record for the table 2 which matches, no? Kapag nag-match sila, yun lang i-display niya, 1-to-1. Pag 1-to-many, pag itong isang record dito nag-match sa maraming set ng records sa kabilang table, then i-display sila lahat. Pag many-to-one naman, kapag yung marami na may equivalent na isang record dito sa kabilang table, then they will also displayed, no? And many to many ay kung sino lang yung magkakamatch, no? Lahat yun ay i-display. We have the E-diagram presentation. So kung gagawa ka ng model, ER model, we use diagram to represent the relationships and as well as the attributes, no? So we have the entity, books, author. So under that, we have the attributes, no? Under ng books, we have title and publisher, no? Or year published. So, we can also use diagram representation using different symbols, no? So, if the attributes are composite, they are further divided in a tree-like structure. Yan. Kung composite, ibig sabihin marami, at pwedeng pag hiwa-hiwalin pa into further sets of data, then we use the tree structure for the composite type, no? Multi-valued attributes are depicted by double ellipse, no? O kapag dalawang, pwedeng maging maraming values ang laman ng isang attribute, then we use double circle. And we use ellipse or dash ellipses if we have the derived attributes, no? For example, ISL, which is the location of the books. So yung location, wala naman talaga sa physical database, but they are derived, no, from the entity books. Okay, so this is the explanation of one-to-one. Okay, pakibasa nyo na lang. But the summary is that they are they display only, it displays only one record at a time, which the record that only matches. Okay? Ito yung symbol ng one to many and many to one. Okay? One and many, many to one. And the same explanation, no? Pag nag-match itong marami dito, kung for example, kung meron ka 10 rito, nag-match sa 10 dito, then lahat sila i-display, no? Left and then right. So the same way din dito, no? Kung yung marami dito, yung 10, may nag-match na isa dito, i-display yung 10, i-display din yung isa. Okay? Left and right. So we go now with constraints, no? So participation constraints, total participation is involved in the relationship, no? Total participation represented by double line. So lahat ng nung entity ay involved, no? Parts ng entity ay involved, so we use double line. Partial lang, we use single, no? Single line yan. Ano naman generalization, specialization, hindi ko nababasahin, but we can derive the definition from the example, no? So it is from specific to general. Yan, no? General to specific to ano pala, no? Actually specific to, no? Pabaliktad. Okay? So yung general kasi ito student. Yan. Generalization, no? Yung isang student pwedeng magkaroon ng mga courses, no? BSIT, BSIS, BSES, no? So ito yung mga courses which are considered as general, no? General courses. Then pwede siyang pagpilian ng student. Pag naman specialization from person, pwede nating lagyan ng type, no? Hinati natin. Sa generalization kasi ginagawa nating isa. Okay? Yung attributes, yan. Attributes ng student, na courses, yan, yung mga courses. Ito naman from the entity to attributes, no? Yung person pwedeng maging student, pwedeng maging teacher. That is called specialization. Ano naman yung inheritance? Kung ano daw yung attributes ng person, kapag ginawan mo siya dinivide mo siya, student, teacher, itong name and gov ID ay mai-inherit ng student at ni teacher. Okay? That is called inheritance, no? So we have the following Dr. Codd's 12 rules. Sino si Dr. Codd's? Dr. Edgar F. Codd are after his extensive research on the relational model of database system, came up with 12 rules of his own. So ito yung mga rules na dapat sundin daw ng database para matawag siyang relational database. Okay? So your assignment is to read, no, the following rules. Okay? I'm gonna explain kasi mahaba yan, but most of them are self-explanatory. Okay? Yun rules na dapat ma-follow ng isang database bago siya tawaging relational database. So we have the data model concepts, concept tables. Okay? Sabihin, ano yung tables? The tables is the entity type, no? Nakalagay doon yung relation among entities. Table has some rows, columns where rows represent records and columns represent attributes. So under the table we have the single row or record, no, which contains a single record for that relation is called a tuple, no? Tuple, yung isang line ng record or information. Relation instance, the final set of tuples, so yun yung kabuuan ng mga tuples, no? Kung may 10 tuples ka or 10 records, then those are the relation instance. Relation schema is the relation schema describes the relation name, table attributes, and their tuples, no? And relation key, ano yung ginamit mong key para dun sa relationships, no? Pag build ng relationship. Okay? Primary key ba, candidate key, or foreign key, super key. Okay? We have the constraints. Constraints defined as every relation has some conditions that must hold for it to be valid. These conditions are called relational integrity constraints or domain constraints or key constraints. So we have tatlo, no? Key constraints, domain constraints, referential integrity constraints. Pag sinabing key constraints, dapat nagmamatch lang dun sa key na pinili mo, no, na ginamit ng user or nung programmer. Okay, for example, ginamit niya ay super key, then sa super key siya, yung constraints niya nakadepende sa super key. Kapag hindi nag-match sa super key, then it will not be displayed, no? Pag sinabi namang domain constraints, bawa age lang ang pwede mong ipasok doon. Hindi ka pwede magpasok ng address doon, no? Ng city, location, or whatever na iba sa age, no? Pag referential integrity constraints naman, yan. A foreign key is a key attribute to relation that can be referred to in other relation. Okay? So, pag sinabing foreign keys, ito yung keys ng isa pang table, no? Na pwede mong i-refer or gamitin as reference para makagawa ka ng relationship to another table. And yung constraints na yon, kapag hindi sila nag-match, these are called the referential integrity constraints. Okay, dapat lagi silang magmamatch. So ito yung summary ng ating model to relational model, no? We have to use diagrams. We have to make the data schema, then the model, then we use the diagrams to represent the relationships, no? Then we have also defined the entity attributes and their relationship. Domain constraints attributes are specific values in real world scenario. Pag referential integrity constraints, ay bumalik pala tayo. Okay. So this finally ends our first lesson for pre-finals.